Well, hello again everyone, and welcome to another tutorial in my How to Draw Folk Art Animals of the World series. Before we start, of course, as usual, if you could subscribe, that would be fabulous. Thank you very much. And also remember to ring that little bell icon. Okay, well, the animal I'm going to draw today is a Russian horse. Now, they come in all shapes and sizes if you ever see them in shops, for instance, you know, the little simplified versions that are decorated. But this one is a more graceful version you see in a lot of Russian designs. And I'm going to start with the curve of the neck coming up. Nice big curve like that. Nice big curve, see that? See it there? And forward a bit, and then from that point you draw in a couple of ears like that. Okay? Now the forehead comes down from here down to the front of the horse, to its nose here, but just in here you get a nice graceful tuft of hair coming in, part of the mane, you know, but like that. And it's got little kind of lines on it. Now the nose comes down and then curves underneath, almost like a little smile, bottom of the head there, then sloping out. So you get that kind of shape there. But this part, this curve here, is actually part of the bridle. So you put that in there, and then another part comes down, straight down like that, and the front over the nose of the horse there like that. And just about between here and here you have a very graceful eye. So you get a curve coming up with a big eyelash and another one there like that, and then the pupil of the eye coming in there like that. Okay, should be a bigger curve here actually. That curves more like that. Okay, from that point you get the front of the neck coming in down to the chest, and it comes down a big curve like that. See that big curve there? Down to its left foreleg. Now the exaggeration starts here where you get a very, very broad, almost muscular top to the leg, but then what it does is it slopes down very graceful, very long, like that, down to a little hoof like that. And from this side here you get the other leg coming up, the right leg. Again, a nice kind of muscular look to it, and a nice graceful curve to the bottom part, coming down like that. See that? That lovely, graceful, almost sinewy line. Now, the back of the horse, again, comes down from there, curves right over the back here, like that. And from here, you draw the mane. Again, very decorative. And you get these kind of curved shapes coming in, getting a bit broader as it comes down. And then to the last one, you do a nice big curve up like a hair coming up like that, the hair bending upwards. And of course, what you do is exaggerate these shapes by putting in curved lines. Now this shape is going to be red, and these lines are actually going to be white, but I'm just indicating them just now where they're going to go, like that. Okay, and up the back of the neck here, you get a decoration of straight lines coming right up to there. Okay, there's also decorations on the bridle and on the other part of the horse. The decoration on the bridle here are circles, white circles, and a right background down here as well. Okay, and around the front of the horse here, you have a nice big curve like that, nice big curve shape coming in, quite broad, down to the chest of the horse here, narrow there, broadening out like that. And there's another white line coming in here. And then in the front we have a kind of whorl shape. So if you kind of curl your line around like that, and back like that, and then going up here you have a series of circles, like that. And below that, following that line, you have, again, very typical Russian design, almost like teardrop shapes coming in, like that, a couple of lines, and another teardrop, a couple of lines, and so on right up there. Okay, and the saddle shape, again, very simplified, is like that, coming down, and that simple curve, and you get a white line coming in there, which I'll just indicate. And then again, you have a very typical Russian kind of flower design. You have a simple circle in the middle. Now you have the petals, separate petals, spreading out as they come down like that. I'll put these in a bit more definitely later. And in between these shapes here we have circles. Okay, and then round the outside of that we have these loose kind of curved shapes all the way around here. And then of course the underneath, which would hold the saddle on, you get these curved shapes coming down like that as well. Okay, and at the back, as it curves around the haunches here like that, you get another part which is connecting to the saddle, broader there, coming narrow, and again a series of circles, and you get a nice kind of crisscross strapping here, one going up there, one going up there, another one there, like that. Okay, and from here of course there's a very graceful tail, comes out in a curve, nice and long, like that, to a point, almost like a ponytail. Well, it is a ponytail, isn't it? And we have the lines coming in here, like that. Okay, now the back leg, of course, the top part, a lot broader than that, comes down to almost like a point there, and then again a long, very graceful foreleg, and underneath here we have the curve of the underside of the horse, and then the other leg of the right, rear leg coming in, again quite and broad, to the kind of almost like an elbow shape there, down to the hoof. You get that lovely prancing, graceful look to the horse. There's another bit of pattern coming up here, again, spreading leaf shapes. You get a long leaf shape like that, and another one like that. Okay, and little lines to exaggerate the muscle shapes on the horse. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pen, and I'm going to outline this, but first of all I'll just clean it up a bit, and then I'll outline the shapes and we can start colouring after that. Okay, I have my 0.8 pen here, and make sure it's waterproof, by the way, so that when you put colour on it's not going to bleed. So, and basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the shapes. I'm not going to outline these shapes here which are going to be white against red, because I'll do that with the red pen. So I'm just going to carry on like this, do the main outline shapes, like that. Now the eye in here, nice curved eyelashes, and nice little eye there, and that curve down to the nose, round, there's a slightly smiley mouth, wide out to here, and then round the top half of the bridle, coming in there, and then this line coming down here, and that one there. It's a nostril. So I'm going to continue to do that, just outline all these shapes, and once I've done that, we can then start to put in the red. Okay, I've now done the outlines, so I'm just going to move on now to the outlines of the red shapes. And remember I said that there are lines coming down the front of the mane here, and also at the back there are these lines which repeat this kind of shape here, like that, that, and that. So what you would do, I mean what you could do actually is just paint it red and then use white for these shapes, but as I'm using pens, this is what I would do. I would do the shapes in like that, but leave a space so you get that white line there. Okay, and the next one like that and that, so you're left with little white lines there as you go up. Okay, same with that there, that curves there, and then there, so you get these lines like that. Doing this line here, and then I would come down just beyond that and leave a white line like that to there. Okay, and the same with the whorl shape that I had here. You do the outside shape like that, and just fill in and leave the actual whorl shape white, like that. And the circles, of course, the same kind of thing. A nice large circle going up. And then just fill in the spaces in between. Okay, so I'm going to carry on and do that. And let's see the result when I've done it. Right, well, I'm just finishing off with the red now. As you can see, leaving a nice white line around there to express the hair on the horse's tail. Make that slightly wider. And bring another one down here. Like that. Colour that in. Well, there we are. Very typically a Russian, graceful Russian folk art horse. And usually you see these against a black background, and of course you can do it with a black background if you like, but I like it against the white, and I hope you do too. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you can join me again for another tutorial very soon. But in the meantime, of course, all the best, and happy drawing!